Deontay Wilder is nothing but a puppet on a string. He's just a regurgitating robot. Okay? Everything that Deontay Wilder says, he's regurgitating from what Shelly Finkel, Al Heyman have said, or what they have rehearsed him to say. He doesn't know his left from his right. He's walking blindly through boxing, letting other people guide his career who have their best interests in heart over his. Okay? Anytime Deontay Wilder is presented with something that poses a difficult question where he might slip, fumble, or expose himself, or just flat out don't have the answer, his handlers always step in to answer the question. Okay? Now, before I get into the video, I want to show you guys something.
The best, that the heavyweight have ever offered. And, it's all opinions at the end of the day.
From a scale from 1 to 10, how close were you to join the zone if there was any consideration, Mr. Wilder?
Man,
Well, let me answer that.
answer that one.
We went together. We wanted to hear what they had to say. They made a very substantial offer.
Now, did you notice as soon as Deontay Wilder was asked a question where he could fuck up or expose himself, or he just doesn't have a lie to shoot back at the reporters and whatnot, you notice how Shelly Finkel steps right on in, okay? And they do this with him a lot, okay? Now, remember all this, okay? Remember all this that I just showed you because it's going to play a part later on, okay? Now, let's go ahead and dissect and break down Deontay Wilder talking about his so-called broken arm surgery that he had before the Tyson Fury fight and break that down and expose that for what the fuck it is.
Deontay, I know you don't want to make excuses or anything or sound like you're making excuses, but could you shed some more light on the arm injury that you suffered early in your, very early in your camp and the surgery that you had?
Oh, yeah, no problem. Excuse me. Get this out of my mouth. Yes, I suffered an injury. I broke my arm 12 weeks before starting my camp, and that whole camp, I barely threw any right hands. It was all left hooks and jabs. So, my accuracy in the fight could have played. Me breaking my arm and being that I was reserving it for the fight could have played a part of my accuracy, along with being anxious to knock him out. All that could have played a part. We're going back and we're going over certain things, and I hate bringing things up. That's why I don't make excuses before the fight. And I like to reveal certain things because I want to say I've overcame, adversity. I do so much to my body that a lot of people don't know. I'm a warrior. I'm a true warrior. I'm a true king. I don't make excuses. But I think it's interesting to know that not only was I fighting a guy 50-some pounds heavier than I, but, I had to overcome some things as well, too. A lot of stuff plays a part, and, I didn't want to say that to make no excuse or nothing. I take nothing away from the fight. I take nothing away from Tyson Fury. He did a wonderful job, especially, proving a lot of people wrong. I didn't want people to have an excuse for him. I wanted the best Tyson Fury, and we prepared for the best, and we got the best, and I'm happy for that. But we did, endure that injury, and that's that. I don't know what more to say about it. There was an injury that occurred, and it could have played a big factor into me not, throwing the right hand properly. I know I was over excited and anxious to knock him out, like I said I would do, and that's that. We can only move forward, learn from this situation, and go forward. I just want to show the world how tough I am. I can do so many things. Have a broke hand, have a torn bicep, even have third-degree burns, and still fight my heart out and give the best Deontay Wilder possible.
Now, if you pay attention coming up, this interviewer is on it. He doesn't believe none of that shit Deontay Wilder is saying. what he's trying to do is he's trying to get Pacifics, because he knows if he asks Deontay Wilder the Pacifics, he'll slip up and he'll fuck up somewhere. He knows it. Okay, let's keep going.
Deontay, I just want to make sure I have the time frame correctly here. It sounds like you had the surgery maybe early September. Does that sound right to you?
Some up in there, yeah. Some middle September, somewhere up in there.
Hey, this is Jay, Deontay's trainer.
Now, what did I tell you guys to pay attention to in the beginning of the videos? Okay, didn't I tell you guys to make a note of this? Okay, because this is going to come back around again. As soon as Deontay Wilder is presented questions which he could mess up or expose himself, one of his handlers steps in to speak for him. And as soon as the interviewer starts grilling him about dates and he's pulling out air, what happens? His trainer, JD, steps right in. Let's keep going.
Jay, Deontay's trainer. Yeah, the surgery was surgery was well before camp. It didn't require any kind of an overnight stay. It didn't require a cast or anything like that. It was basically in camp a precautionary measure not to overuse the right hand, so that Deontay would go into the fight, as strong as possible with it. And so there was no. It was just the timing was probably the only issue. And like Deontay said, just being a little bit anxious, and then the timing of it. But as the fight went on, he was finding the timing on the right hand as more and more as the fight went on, the timing was coming back. But that's what it was. It was he came in. There was he was ready to go and healthy. You always deal with things in camp anyway, so you're never going to come in 100%. But he came in and did some amazing things.
Jay, I just wanted to, could you specify when he says broken arm? I mean, that could mean many things. What specifically was it?
I don't know the medical term. It was on the arm between the elbow and the wrist, and it could have been a thing where he could have not had the procedure and just kind of let it rest. But the doctor's advice was to go ahead and have the procedure, and thought the healing would come along a lot faster. He said that basically after the procedure, Deontay will be able to do push-ups within like 2 or 3 days. It was that kind of a thing that's been done with football players. And so we opted to go ahead and have the procedure so that we could go ahead and know that it was going to be, well and healed a lot earlier in camp. And in camp, it was just 2 things. Number one, we wanted to focus on the left hand a lot anyway. And number 2, we just wanted to be careful with the right hand.
Man, they think people hella stupid. Okay, number 1, how come JD's knows the surgery date more than Deontay Wilder does? You're the one that went through surgery, and you have to ask your trainer when it was. So JD is more prevalent to the date that you had the surgery versus the person who literally had the surgery. That's number 1. Number 2, unfortunately for the Wilder team, when it comes to the human body, muscles, bones, and stuff like that, that's actually right up my alley. That aligns right along with my profession that I do for a fucking living. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that shit. And for number 1, when JD is talking about the bones in between the elbow and the hand, talking about he don't know the medical term, there is no medical term, okay? The same thing that doctors will say is the same thing anybody else would say. The 2 bones between the elbow and the hand is called the radius and the ulna, okay? The bone above that in between your shoulder and your elbow is the humerus, okay? Deontay Wilder said that he broke his arm, okay? Now, when you break your arm, the bone that is often broken and fractures also stands for broken in medical terms. So if somebody say they have a fracture, it still means that it's broke, okay? The bone that is broke the most is called the radius, okay? The radius is the most often broke bone when somebody has a broke arm, Okay, it's often the radius. Now, this is the thing. When you have surgery, okay, this is how you have surgery. You have these options, okay, and these are the results, and these are the things that's going to come with having a surgery. You're either going to get plates, screws, a cut, or a cast, if not all four of them, okay? When you have surgery for a broken arm, okay, you're either going to be dealing with some bolts and some screws and some plates, okay, some surgery, some cutting, and some casting. That's what surgery is, okay? That's what surgery is. Now, to further prove my point how this was bullshit, because he said that the doctor said that he could have this procedure and within 5 days of a broken arm, you can do push-ups. Listen, I'm going to show you guys something. And if you are queasy, okay, I suggest that you turn away or just skip over this part. I'm going to show you the procedure somebody has when they simply fracture / break their ulna or their radius. Okay, you ready?
เมื่อไหร่เราเลาะได้กระดูก2ท่อนเนี่ยเราก็จะสามารถดึงได้นะครับเมื่อดึงได้เข้าที่เนี่ยเราก็จะเริ่มดามเลยนะครับก็จะมีการใช้แผ่นโลหะดามกระดูกสังเกตนะครับจะมีรูอยู่อันนี้ก็จะเป็นเห็นนะครับเห็นรูเพื่อจะใส่สกรูนะครับตอนแรกๆเราก็จะเจาะเราก็จะใช้ครีมหนีบแผ่นโลหะดามกระดูกนี้กับกระดูกให้เรียบร้อยก่อนนะครับก็คือจับให้แน่นก่อนสังเกตนะครับจะใช้ครีมเนี่ยจับกระดูก
Now, that is the procedure a person is having for fracturing their radius. Okay? That is the procedure you're going to have. You've seen the screws, you've seen the bolts, and you see how they have to set the bone. Okay? When something is broke, okay, it has to be mended back. The only way you're going to mend it back is with bolts and screws to hold it in place. And then you're going to cast it so it can heal, depending on what kind of a break you have. But one thing's for sure, how many of us have went to school and I have never broken a bone? What the fuck? Knock on wood. You know what I'm saying? And I have never broken a bone. So I can't speak from personal experience, but we've all been in school with somebody who has had a broken arm. We know because we signed their cast. Name one person who got a broken arm who came to school the next week without a fucking cast. Come on now. We all been in high school. We all been in college. We all didn't had a friend who had a broken fucking arm. Okay? And it sets in a cast. Why is the arm in a cast? Because the bone has been set back and now it has to be mended. The only way it can be mended is by wrapping a cast around it to hold it in place. Or if it is a severe break, you're going to have to put some screws, some bolts to hold it in place so it can heal, cast it, and then get the screws, the bolts, and the plates removed. We all know this. So how Deontay Wilder was able to tell the public that he sat up here and broke his arm before the fucking fight and then went back to training 5 days later with no cast, no cuts, no bolts, no screws, no bone setting. This just goes to show you how stupid they think the masses is. Okay? And how dumb the masses really is. Because we fell for that and y'all all knew better. We all knew better than ain't no way in fuck he broke his hand and then 5 days later you can go and do some fucking push-ups. I just showed you the video of somebody with a fractured radius. Okay? He had to get his arm split open. They had to dig through the meat, the veins, get the bone, get some clamps, get some screws, clamp it down, okay? Put the screws in the bone, all right? Mend it back together, keep the plates in there, sew it back up somewhat, okay? Then cast that bitch, and then wait for it to fucking heal. Very simple, Okay? So when it comes to somebody telling you that they put on a poor performance because their arm was broke, this fool arm was not broke at all. Medically impossible. The doctor gonna tell you this is a surgery that you don't need to be cut open for, or you don't need bone set, or you don't need a cast. And then on top of that, it's a procedure that you necessarily didn't need. And the doctor told you you can do push-ups 5 days. Man, bullshit. Bullshit. But let me finish with this.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up, Jay. And Deontay, I just have one more question related to this. Did it once you had the procedure, did it bother you at all in camp, and did it bother you in the fight at all?
By the time we we got deep into camp, it didn't affect me at all. You know, at the beginning of camp, it kind of, you know how you have surgery, it's tender. You know, you got to let it rest a little bit. You know, even when I was throwing my right hand, I would land on guys. I would feel the pressure from the impact of a guy's head. You know, anybody that knows anything about punching a guy in the face and feeling the structure of their bones in your hands, it's not a nice feeling.
And that's where I'm going to end this shit right here. Because Deontay Wilder, like always, just did some oxymoron shit. If you can recall, the reason why he even brought up his broke arm in the beginning of this interview, he said that it played a role in him being able not to knock out Tyson Fury, right? Okay. Now, the interviewer's asking him, after you had the surgery, did it affect you? He just said no. That just canceled your whole fucking argument out. You saying you couldn't knock Tyson Fury out because of the surgery, and then the interview asked you, well, after you had the surgery, did it bother you? And your dumb ass turn around and say no. So therefore, your arm didn't bother you when you was fighting Tyson Fury. You just got fucking outboxed. Jesus Christ, man. Anyway, leave your thoughts in the comment section. Bruce Vane, I'm out. I need to take an aspirin dealing with this motherfucker.